All right, well, we have all eyes, of course, on what's happening in Gaza, and the reports are just horrendous the more they come out. How in the world did the leftists in Israel ever push gun control when every neighboring nation has pushed for its annihilation? Following Saturday's historic Hamas Sabbath attack, the Israeli Minister of National Security implemented the first phase of a national plan to distribute firearms to the public, which has always been the case in the past, by the way. Israelis are taking advantage of the new laws, including women, of course. Israeli National News reporting this. The National Security Minister has implemented the first phase of a plan to distribute thousands of firearms throughout the Israeli public. As part of the plan, the Ministry of National Security has purchased 4,000 Israeli-made rifles to be distributed to the local security teams of various towns and cities. Several accounts of the battles near the Gaza border tell how local security teams or armed civilians were able to hold off the Hamas invasion long enough for help to arrive or the unarmed to escape. Here to discuss the latest news out of Israel, Dr. Susan Michael, who is the director of the International Christian Embassy in Jerusalem. Susan, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Steve.
Greatly appreciated. So, your story. Tell us where you fit into all this and what you're seeing and what you're hearing.
Well, our organization is a Christian organization based in Jerusalem. We've been there for 43 years. And I've been involved with it since its founding in 1980. And we have pioneered a new relationship between Jews and Christians, and we have pioneered a movement around the world of Christian support for Israel. And so anytime that we have a disaster or a crisis in Israel, we have been very involved in providing some sort of humanitarian aid and just practical assistance just to demonstrate the support of Christians around the world and their prayers and their love and their concern. So we had been working in the Gaza area for years. We had put into place over 175 bomb shelters in those communities that regularly suffered rocket attacks out of Gaza. So we knew all the security personnel, all the community leaders. We knew many in the community, the schools where we had placed bomb shelters, and the community centers, the social workers. We had just taken 600 Christians down there on Thursday for a solidarity rally, and we did a tree planting ceremony around the community called Be'eri. Trees would provide security against the fence there, the Gaza border. And that's the very area where the breach occurred, and they came in. And so this is very personal to us. We've known the whole community. It's been devastating. But we are now helping with the evacuees. A lot of the community members that remain have been evacuated. It's now a war zone. And we're assisting with things like housing and food and care. But we're getting many requests just for humanitarian aid. And so Christians around the world are beginning to make donations to help us assist Israel at this moment.
Yeah, and the needs, I assume, are terrific in some areas. We're hearing about more rocket attacks now in the southern part of the country. Now Hezbollah launching rocket attacks from the north and the south of Lebanon into northern Israel. It's not going to get any easier for a while, but it seems to me that Israel is going to fight back, and there will be a very high price to pay for Hamas, for those in the Gaza Strip. Israel telling people to evacuate because they are going to decimate the entire place. And how can you blame them? How can you blame them? I mean, these vicious attacks, the stories that we're hearing. I saw some of the videos, young women being burned alive in the streets, young women in their 20s being burned alive in the streets while they dance around and celebrate, infants being beheaded by these people at a kibbutz, basically a commune of sorts of people that just want to hang out and be off the grid and grow their own food and so forth. Very, very peaceful people being attacked and given the most gruesome, violent sorts of deaths. This is not going to stand. What kind of things do you see are the biggest needs right now?
Well, the evacuees need to be housed. There's even immigration absorption centers in that part of the country that they're not in the immediate war zone, but right at the edges of it. And these people are just so stressed out and living, as you say, rockets are being fired still today. So we need to care for these people and get them into other areas of the country where it may be safer and they can have a little bit of a respite. Some of these evacuees have left everything behind, so they don't even have anything but the clothing on their back. We're also finding that the Israeli reserves that have been called up, it's the largest number in history for Israel. So it's 380,000 reservists have been called up, and they actually don't have enough things in the supply line for all of these reservists, like food and water, like bulletproof vests, simple things, everyday things, but they just haven't had the time to amass it and to have the supply lines in place. So
Yeah.
we've provided food and water. The needs are everywhere. They need ambulances. Many of the ambulances were either destroyed or confiscated, so they have a shortage of ambulances. They have a shortage of doctors and nurses, trauma counselors. A grave, grave need in the future. So all these things, we're putting the word out about the need. And as I said, Christians all around the world, people are beginning to make donations to help supply, but the needs are immediate. And these things take a few days or weeks to get the supply
Yeah.
in place. It's really
So
heartbreaking.
how can people get involved, Susan? People are looking at us right now saying, hey, I wouldn't mind trying to help out some of the folks who have been decimated by this evil attack by these terrorists. These are not militants. This is not a resistance. These people do not, murder people at a music festival or cut off the heads of children. All right. This is something, it's evil personified. Anyhow, how do we help these people out?
Pure evil. They can go to our website, which is icejusa.org. And right there, it's going to say Israel in Crises, how to donate. And you can click and make a donation online.
All right, Susan, thank you for doing what you're doing. It's important. We have to support those that are in need right now because of this vicious, unprovoked attack. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, Steve.
All right. Coming up after the break, the first presidential candidate has dropped out of the race, or is it the second? Find out who it is next on ABL.